And so then, like, we were just sitting there, and we started talking, then we just started talking and sitting down and having a conversation and everything. And so then it was getting to the point from where, cause me and my wife, we were just sitting there just laughing and talking. And so the couple next to us, they was like, hey, like, what are you guys doing on such and such day? And we was like, well, nothing that we can think of and everything like that. And so then, like, the couple invited us to the zoo. Because they was like, you know what? You guys are really cool people. Like, we should hang out more. And we was like, well, okay, cool. Cool. No problem. Cool, no problem. And everything like that. In that same token, it was okay for us to be us. Because we was laughing, talking, me and the husband, we was laughing and talking. And so we was like, well, we're just going to sit right, I'm just going to sit right here and enjoy this piece of fish. He said, well, I'm going to enjoy this piece of pork chop right here because our wives was talking about makeup and everything. So we were like, we had the slightest idea on what they're talking about. I said, I said, the only reason why I know on what they're talking about because my wife is a makeup artist. I said, that's one of the reasons why I know what she's talking about. And so I said, now the other stuff they're talking about, doing this, putting lashes on. I said, now I see the lashes game because my wife do that too. Because like I said, she's an MUA. She's a makeup artist and everything like that. And so, her business is Lash Shade Beauty and Cosmetics. And so, like, this is what I said. I said, that's my wife's field. Like, she's an educator. And then plus two, she loves makeup. She loves doing this. So I said, so that's what my wife does. He said, yep. He said, I understand. He said, sometimes I just sit there and I just laugh at mom because, she's trying to figure out what color to put on and what this to put on. And then we started laughing and our wives were looking at me like, really? Like, you want to talk junk about it? I said, hey, I'm just speaking truth. But then in the same token, it was from whenever people accept you, you can be yourself. And people will tell you about me all the time. I am silly. I am crazy. Just like my pastor slash my best friend, my sister and everything, she was like picking on me on Monday. She was like, dude, you always been a rebel. You always been the one who's been hard-headed and not, and do what you want to do and everything like that. I said, true, I am hard-headed and everything. She said, but then that's one of the best things about you, because you never let anybody tell you on who you can and who you cannot be. And so then I was sitting there, I was like, that's true, because I was one of the ones like, okay, cool, you don't like me, cool, And it was some tips that I took in for some people because it was like, well, hey, instead of, I had a bad mouth too. I was like one of the ones was like, if you don't like me or well like that, as soon as you cussing me, I was cussing you right back and everything. But I took some of the tips and everything. Say, yo, like you don't have to cuss at them back. Yo, this be the more common person, the more easier person like that, the more better person, and just like walk away and don't say anything. Or, just be like, it is what it is. I'm staying right here, but I'm still gonna do on what I need to do. I was one of them. I was one of those. I had a mouth. Like in school, I had a mouth. Like you popped off, I'm ready to pop off. And so I was just like, I was just one of them type of people. But in the same token, though, I was learning on one, I had to accept on who I was. And like with me, with Daryl, I could speak about me. With Daryl, I was your everyday average African American. I was a person that loves music, who cared about people, who loves God, and I have like all the joy in the world. Despite on whatever issues and stuff I had going on in life, I still was happy on who I was. Don't get me wrong. I had moments when I was like, God, why am I like this? Like, why is it like people don't like me or anything like that? Why people just can't stand me? Or why people want to use me and everything like that? My heart was so genuine. And then I was trying to change up how the way my heart was and be like, well, since they want to use me and do me like that, then I'm just gonna go to like the third part of me. I'm just gonna go to that third part. So like, I ain't gonna ask no questions. I'm just gonna be like, pop, I'm gonna knock them down, and then I'm just gonna go on with my day. But then that didn't work either because that wasn't who I was. I had to accept on who I was. I had to accept that I was a caring person. I had to accept that I was the one to be like, look, this don't mess with them and it won't be no issue. I had to be okay. I had to be okay with God approving of who I was, and then I had to approve on who I was for myself. Yeah, am I a person that loves God? Yes, I have no shame to say I love God. I can be the one who sit right here and say today and say, yo, it's been times I know God's probably looking at me like, why did you do that? And you know what? And and I have to be okay for who I am. I have to accept on who I am. So today, have you accepted on who you are? Have you accepted on where some of the things from where we all done went through in life and everything, it was for a reason. It was for like I don't want to say a personal reason, but like a purpose for God, for like, hey, I had to go through this right here just to show you that, hey, like you can come out this thing, or you can go through this thing right here. I'm sitting right here on my wife. Me and my wife was talking. My wife, Latasha. And so we were sitting right here, we was talking, and she was talking about from where the story I put in the book that I was in a collaboration with on Build It Again. And so she was talking about, she said, I remember one time, honey, it was like, you was going through everything for what you was going through that you mentioned in the book and everything. And I remember it was sometimes from where you didn't want to talk on the phone. It was sometimes from where you was like, God, why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to do this right here? Like, why does this keep happening to me and everything like that? But then in that time, once you got out everything on how the way you was feeling and everything, then it was okay for you to accept on what God has for you. It's like you had approved yourself on what God was doing for you, just to show you that I had to allow you to go through this just to be a testimony for somebody. You have to go through this right here just because that, like, on whatever reason that God has for you to go through and what you go through. Because you never know on what you're going through right now. You never know that you may be a testimony for somebody that's going through the same thing on what you're going through. So then you'll be able to help them or be able to sit down and talk with them. And they ask you like, well, how did you get through this? How did you do this right here? How did you survive all of this right here? Yes. And then you're going to be able to sit down and give your testimony on what happened and everything like that. Because then I have learned that I had to accept on who I was. I had to accept on what God has called me. I had to be in acceptance of it. So today, do you accept on what God has called you? Do you accept on everything for what's going on? It's for God's purpose, for you to be a testimony for somebody, for you just to show that God can do it. I mean, do you accept? It make you feel like sometimes you say like, do you accept the challenge? But I'm not going to say, do you accept the challenge? Do you accept you? Do you accept you? Do you accept on who you are? Do you accept you? Because as God gave it to you, God already accepted you. So do you accept yourself? Do you accept yourself? And I want you guys to take like a deep thought in this thing. Do you accept on what God has called you to be? I mean, trials, troubles, everything. Because I've been through a lot, and I've done a lot. And then the same token, if I have not been through from what I've been through, go through wherever trials and situations and stuff I done had in life and what I'm still going through right now in life and everything like that, then I wouldn't be able to say, well, God, I thank you, living in thankfulness and everything. If I can't live in thankfulness, I can't be hot, honest, open, and transparent if I don't accept on what God has called me to be. So today, do you accept what God has called you to be? Do you accept that? Do you accept it? I remember one time I knew somebody who wanted to change their name so bad because they didn't like their name. And I was like, well, what's wrong with your name? They're like, I just don't like that name. They wanted to change that name to something else. And I was like, why? It just seemed like the name of what they have, the name of what they have right now, to that person, it didn't seem like that it had meaning to it or anything. It didn't have any meaning to it or anything like that. So they wanted to change the name to something like, I was like, oh my God, I'm not even going to say that name before because I'm going to mess it up every time. And so I said, no, I just stick to calling you so-and-so. But they wanted to change their name because it's like, well, I think if I had my name this right here, I think my name would be like, that would mean like I will mean something to somebody. And then I was looking at this, I was like, so you just don't like on who you are? I was like, I was like a little kid, so I'm trying to understand because I was a kid. I was like in teenager stage. I'm like, so you don't like on who you are? I said, well, dang it, I like myself. Well, I'm gonna keep on letting myself be called Daryl. And so then I was looking up. I gotta find my notes, but I'll find it and I'll tell you guys about it next time from whatever. And so from whatever I was saying what my name meant, Daryl on how the way was saying like, well, Daryl would mean like it meant double. And so I was like, well, double what? I'm like, well, double what? And then and so then I was like, well. I said like, and so then I was like, well, I had to accept on what God was giving me. But then, I was like, I was young. I was at a time for like, from when you're trying to run and you like, from what you've been called or what you have been called and everything, but you're trying to run away from all that. But then it just seems like the more and more that you run away from the more and more you think that you're running away from, honestly, the more and more it's like you're running towards on what you're being called to do. That's me. I don't know if anybody else has been like that. It's like several times when I try to run away from what people have said I am called to doing it. It's like the more and more I try to run away, it's like literally the more and more I'm running towards it instead of running away on what God had called me to be. I'm thinking I'm running away from it. Honestly, when I really when I'm looking at my life and stuff right now, it's like I'm running towards it more than what I'm saying I'm running away from it. And like I said, I can be honest, open, and transparent. So some of the things of what God had called me to be, I was scared like the dickens. I'm still like a little, you sure? You sure you want me to do this right here? You sure? Come on, God. Come on, God. Like, God. Like, homie, God, hey, we cool, right? We cool. You sure? And that's how I was. But then I had to learn that I had to accept on what God has called me to be. And the more that I accept on what God has called me to be, the more that I can go and I can enjoy life. I can go do the things of what I have been called to do. And then I can have and I'm at peace with it. I am at a point for like, you know what? I love my life. I love from where, trust me, it was some things I did not want to go through. Honestly, I'm keeping it honest. I did not want to go through some of the stuff from what I went through. But in that same token, even though I didn't want to go through it, even though like it was rough and it was tough and it was times where it was a couple of times from where I could have passed away, I could have died and everything like that. I'm still living in thankfulness. I'm still living in thankfulness that God allowed to happen what allowed to happen. Because not only from where I got through a tough part in my life, from where I was doubting myself and from where I was at a point from where, and most people did not notice about me and everything like that. I was at a point in my life from where if I would have died, I would have been okay with it. From where then everybody wouldn't have to worry about me. Everybody wouldn't have to be like always like concerned or people have to like take off for work. This to kind of come help me and everything like that. I would have been okay. It was like, well, God, if it's my time, then it's my time. But then the more and more I was sitting, the more and more I was laying in the hospital, the more and more I was just sitting, I was sitting there. I was having moments when I was lonely. It was moments when I was just, I was just like, don't bother me, don't come and talk to me and everything like